Hello guys, so today let's talk about the best, I guess, the best all-around camera and what is it? Hello guys, so yeah, I got some audio feedback, gotta turn that down. Alright, yeah, so let me first see up here, because I'm doing the show today by myself, so let me just kind of log in and see who's online. And let me know, actually guys, where you're joining from and what time it is over there if you can. So you can kind of let everybody know who's watching the show. And yeah, I want to talk about like the best all-around camera as of right now, meaning as of August 2017. What is the best camera? Maybe first, you know what? Tell me what you guys think. Like, what is the best all-around camera? You know, and like basically you guys would put up there. Oh yeah. Well, somebody's saying here that I'm not by myself because Lucas is here in the chat. So yeah, my brother joined in the chat, but he's not here with me, like actually being able to join the show. But he's watching, so that's good. Scotland, I see. Bahrain, 7:15. Finland, 7 p.m. Oh, Boston, Sydney, Brazil. Where else we got? Los Angeles we have. Alright. Got a lot I see up here. Alright, and I see already people are talking about, looks like the EVA, which is a Panasonic one, or the Sony FS5. And I gotta say that it's, or Sony A6300. Okay. I guess kind of what I want to talk about today, though, is not so much like the small little point-and-shoot cameras, or cameras that were meant mainly for photography, and then they were converted, you know, or they're able to be converted for video. I kind of want to talk about more about cameras that are specifically designed to be video or cinema cameras, and what would those be, right? What's like the best one I think right now, and GH4, yes, GH4 is still a great camera, that's true. Hello Iraq, hello Italy also we got, alright, Iran, oh okay. Alright, somebody else is Sony A7S II, great camera, I mean great camera, but again it's mainly designed to be a photo camera and then a video camera. And what I mean by that is that it can still record great video, but it doesn't have all the proper video functions, because it doesn't have, like, for example, you know, proper like monitoring tools for audio, doesn't have the proper connections, all that stuff, which you can make it work with all those things, but by adding adapters or rigs and things like that. But what would be like sort of the best all-around camera? And I think right now it kind of comes down between a few cameras, and they're all in a similar price range. So maybe here, let me kind of jump in and show you guys some of like the ones that I think at least are that are going to be the best or the most useful. So here, what I got here, the first camera would be, so alright, the first camera I think would be, as you can see here, the Sony FS5, yeah. So that's the one. Also, I think the reason why I'm saying this, even though this is an older camera, or actually, you know, let me kind of show you the cameras that I was thinking about. I think it kind of comes down between the Sony FS5, which right now is was it 4,750 US. The Panasonic, you know, EVA, the new one, which I don't know if I should be including it in here because I guess it technically hasn't come out, although you can pre-order it, so I don't know if that makes a difference to you guys. Also the Canon EOS C200, the same deal. You can't really, like, you know, most people can't have it. Like, there's some I know that have the pre-production models, but to actually order it, you can place an order, but you won't get it until, I don't even know when they're expecting to ship it. But anyways, yeah, just is coming soon, so we'll see. I think another great camera is their Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro. As you can see, it's competitive, right? $6,000 compared to what? This one's $7,500. The Panasonic 7, well, just a little bit under 7,345. Yeah, so I think those are the kind of the four cameras that I would myself say are, you know, what is it here? There are basically the better options, right? And what I mean by that is that it's basically these cameras have how should I say it? they can offer something, right? That I think a lot of other cameras, you know, basically they're like proper video cameras. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. Sorry guys, I'm like trying to do a few things at once here. I'm like looking at all the comments and stuff. It's a lot more difficult doing the show without my brother actually moderating it. But so what do you think out of these cameras? Well, unless actually there is another camera that's like a proper video camera. The AGA Cyan, I see somebody saying, I don't know, I wouldn't put it in that class for a few reasons, which maybe, here, let me just kind of change something here. I can show you. We can look at the specs up here. Let me just look it up. But for me, it just mainly it's a good cinema camera, but it's not really a video camera. That's kind of the reason why. Right here. So let's see here. Let's switch it up. AGN. Let's see if they have it here. Well, actually, no. This one's actually come down in price now, huh? And what are the specs of this camera? Let me show you guys here in case you're wondering what I'm looking at. So this is the AGN Cyan 4K camera, and it's to be honest, I haven't had really experience with this camera. I've only seen it at trade shows, so that's what I'm kind of thinking. As a global shutter, I mean, I've never used it, but it records to good codecs. 12 steps of dynamic range. Well, I think comparing it to all the other ones we're comparing it, that's kind of low, because all the other cameras actually, that's another thing is I would say they're great video cameras because they have good audio connections, all that stuff. This one, as far as I know, doesn't have proper XLR. Oh no, actually I'm wrong. It does have proper XLR connections. Yeah, I would have to look at this camera, but I guess I haven't also heard much about it, and I myself was never really that interested from what I've seen at the trade shows. I don't know whether it's just bad marketing or whether this camera just really was something was missing with it. I have no idea really. I would have to, I guess, play around with it. But the fact that it only has 12 steps of dynamic range, that's like, you know, to record in ProRes 4:2. I mean, and it cannot, I guess, record. It can record 4K, but to do 4K slow motion, you have to do through an output, I guess. So what I would say is like this is a camera that's better for like a bigger cinema setup. So I would still say that there's other options that are on the table that are better. I mean, for one, you can get for the same price, you can get the Ursa Mini, but not the Pro, just the 4.6K version, which is still a great camera. Just really the biggest difference is it doesn't have all the buttons like this one has, and it doesn't have the built-in ND filters. So that's the thing. To me, kind of like I said, all these cameras I'm looking at, like they're going to give you cinematic image. What I mean by that is sharp, 4K. They're going to give you, for example, options such as, like, for example, a great dynamic range or slow motion, things like that. This camera, the Ursa, is 15 steps of dynamic range. 4.6K it actually records, so it's even higher than 4K. Like I said, it's just slow motion. It can do 4K, 4.6K up to 60 frames per second. So, for example, the Canon EOS C200 can also do 4K. By the way, they all are going to have super 35mm or somewhere around their image sensor, and that's the reason why I'm not really talking about like cameras that are full frame or that are micro four thirds like the GH4. They're great, but they're like a different class, and they don't work with all the standard cinema lenses that are used like in throughout Hollywood and stuff. And that's the reason why I think these cameras are so good, is because they have that kind of a typical image size sensor that you would expect to have in most cinema cameras, right? So that's the kind of thing. So super 35mm image sensor. What else do they have? They're gonna have a good dynamic range. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay, because I've got I guess the neighbor's gonna cut the grass now, and I'm here in my backyard, literally. If you guys don't believe me, I can show you. Here's my hammock, usually where I'm sitting around thinking of ideas. My deck, my view, and then my neighbor somewhere over there is decided to cut grass. Anyways, Let me see what you guys are saying up here. Anything? Yeah, so like GH5, some people are saying it's great GH5, but also, you know, or red cameras. Yeah, red cameras are also great. But again, another thing with red cameras is that it's they're not, you know, the most affordable one, unless you're buying them used, right? But I mean, you can buy these ones, these cameras I'm talking about, most of them, right? You can buy them used. So yeah, so that's why I would say red cameras just out of the price range. So something within $10,000. That's kind of why I'm talking about these cameras. So like I said, they all have nice dynamic range. They're all, you know, above with 14 stops of dynamic range and up. Now the only difference actually is, and that's something that people don't realize, is that Canon EOS C200, it can record the codec raw light, and then it can also do MP4 and proxies and all that stuff, and 4K even. But the problem is, though, well, not problem, but just one limitation you should be aware of is that in 4K, when you're recording in MP4, basically to the lighter codec, you're actually not getting the full image, like the image, I guess, sensor readout. You're very limited actually there. The dynamic range, I believe, drops down to like 12 or 11 stops. Otherwise, it's what is it, 15 or 14 stops of dynamic range, somewhere around there. And again, exactly how much it is, you would really have to do testing and stuff. But it doesn't matter. It's, I would say, at that dynamic range, it's pretty good, right? So here it says dynamic range is approximately, what is it? Oh, okay, it's 13 stops of dynamic range. Okay. But I know that it's, well, some people are saying that it's 14, but that it drops down to 12 or 11 when you're recording not in the raw codec. So that's something to be aware of. Blackmagic, doesn't matter whether you're recording in raw compressed, ProRes, DNX, it records always 15 stops of dynamic range, unless you know, limited by choosing the different basically options. And one of the things you want to do there is make sure is you're recording basically in the film log profile. Another thing is you're recording at 800 ISO, base ISO. Then you're going to get the true 15 stops of dynamic range, because the other ones, you know, every camera has a different ISO, basically base ISO. So after that, you're either decreasing basically taking that, you're still shooting always at that ISO, even if you're shooting at ISO 200. If you think in this camera, for example, you're still always shooting at ISO 800. What you're effectively just doing is you're taking the image that was shot at 800 and internally you're kind of compressing it or making it darker. Same thing if you're going to go with a higher ISO, you're basically just gaining up or adding, you know, increasing the video, you know, levels, which then it also increases the noise levels. And that's actually something that maybe can bring me to the next point, which is, this is a really cool thing about the Panasonic EVA, is that it records in dual native ISO. You can see up here, and they released finally the specs, and it's the two dual native ISOs are ISO 800, and that's the one of the base ISOs, and then the ISO 2500. And what's really cool about that is the fact that you basically, it's kind of like having two image sensors in your camera. I mean, you're basically mosquitoes. You basically have mosquitoes and bugs and everything's just coming out today. So yeah, you're basically having a camera with, technically I could say it's one sensor, but it acts like two sensors. What I mean by that is it's actually been configured to the camera connects to it, to the iodes on the sensor, and it kind of reads it completely, the raw data, in two different ways. So it's kind of, you could say, almost like having two sensors, one on top of another. So it's actually going to reconfigure it and read the raw data at 800 ISO. So for like standard low, you know, like basically standard lighting kind of thing scenarios, that's what you'd probably be using for. For low light stuff, instead of, let's say if you want to shoot at 2500 ISO or even higher, instead of having to take an 800 ISO image and gaining so many stops of light, which then increases all those, you know, the noise, you're actually now just switching, and your base ISO becomes suddenly 2500. Suddenly means if you're shooting at 2500, it's as clean as ISO 800 or, you know, anything below that. And then again, if you then start going up, obviously higher than that, then you're adding noise. How good it's going to be, or how many stops of noise, or how much you can gain up, is well, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see till the camera comes out. And that's the reason why my biggest advice is usually don't buy any of these cameras that are not out there. Like, I'm talking about these cameras, and sometimes people are like, oh my god, should I buy this, should I buy this? And I'm telling you guys, don't buy it. you always want to wait for the camera to come out. Even better if you can wait for somebody to you know, to like go and actually do tests, to do videos, like let's say me and other YouTubers or other online people who do you know, basically these reviews. Then that's I think even better, because then you can kind of see, you know, somebody's first-hand experience, you could say. But then the next best thing is, if you can, and I know that sometimes it's not possible for everybody, and that's why I guess sometimes these reviews come in handy. But if you can, you kind of really want to, especially when you're buying a camera like this, these cameras are all between $5,000 and $8,000. You kind of want to, I would say, go over there and actually look at the camera yourself. Whether it's go to the local store, you know, that might let you just play around with the camera in the store, or better yet, take it out, like rent it. You know, go to your local rental house and rent the camera, because I think that's really what's going to make the biggest difference. So, just letting you guys know here. All right, let me check here what else is happening, what you guys are writing in the comments, all that stuff. All right. Let's see, on Facebook, I don't know, somehow I can't see Facebook today. But let's see here on the YouTube. Alright. Oh, somebody's asking for a review of the A6500. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do it, but I'm just, you know, like with most of my reviews, I want to actually wait till I had a proper way of like using the camera. So I've been using the A6500, but I will have a review coming up for A6300, which that I've used basically like on and off for over a year. So I'm gonna show you some cool projects I shot with it, and yeah, you guys can tell me then, you know, and I think you'll be able to, like I said, I kind of in a way compare it very well, the A6300 to 6500, because they're in a way very similar cameras. It's just, I would say the biggest thing is the image stabilization, right? That is included in the A6500. See somebody saying that they had experience shooting with the very cams, that they, but they still, I guess, what is it? Some people are saying it's not perfect, I guess, the image. So let's see. Red Raven, yeah, Red Raven is nice, but it's $15,000, right? Like they're ready to get it working, and now I think you have to buy it through the Apple Store, which is kind of weird. I don't know why. I guess Red is maybe trying to move away from cameras. I think they're gonna kind of slowly move away from cameras. I know they're going to phones and stuff, because I think they're realizing they need to be, they have to have products that are more, you know, for an average, I guess, consumer. So, but they're gonna go for the premium market. So like people who are, you know, who would buy a Mac over a PC or things like that. Let's see here. Yeah, Red One MX, somebody saying, I mean, it's, you know, it was a great camera at the time. I wouldn't use it anymore. It's a beast. It's heavy. It's like an old, basically, computer that boots up each time you start up that camera, and it's a nightmare. Like if you gotta change, like, I remember when I was shooting with the Red One MX, for the longest time, I was like dreading, you know, just having to actually change the batteries, because I know that once the battery was getting low, I'm like, no, let's keep on shooting, But at the same time, you couldn't really save the batteries by turning on and off a camera, because it takes forever. Like you turn it off and then you want to start it up. It's not like, oh, you know, even 5-10 seconds. It sometimes it took like over a minute to boot up, or a few minutes. It really was things. I mean, it's not like I said, it was the best, I would say, digital camera at the time. It's kind of old now, and that's the reason why it's selling for, somebody says here, 3 to 6K. So yeah, definitely, I would say, not sure if that's the camera to go for, but I think, yeah, I mean, somebody says FS5, and I'll tell you this, I think out of the cameras here that I've been looking at, there's definitely a few, you know, interesting candidates. The one that I would say, here, let me just kind of show you guys again, because what I think of each of these cameras. So the Sony, you know, FS5, I think what's cool about it is the fact that it's what do you call it? It's a very small camera. I've used it actually on a bunch of projects last year. very small camera, very light. It's actually like the size is small, but it's not as small obviously as like, you know, A6500 or something like that. But it's not much bigger, to be honest. Like if you take off the handle and then the monitor, it's not that much bigger than, you know, many like the DSLRs, like Canon 5D and stuff. It's a little bit deeper the longer the body, but it's not taller. But anyways, it's a great camera on that term. Small body, very light. The batteries last a fairly long time. Now it's come down in price. It can record slow motion up to 240 frames per second and all that stuff. But now it even has the RAW update, which is great. So meaning, if you get the camera by itself right now, it's the cheapest out of all the ones that we're looking at, $4,749. What's cool about it is it has a built-in EVF, which not all of these cameras have that are coming out right now. I guess manufacturers are trying to save money anywhere they can. Has all these nice buttons and everything to let you navigate the settings very clearly, fast. Has the clear, basically not the clear, but well, has a clear image zoom that the Sony has, but also has the ND filters, which are the digital variable ND filters, which is really nice. You can really like fine tune and adjust it. It's not like you gotta jump by 1 or 2 steps. It's literally you can do 1/8 of a step or 1/10 of a step, whatever. You just incrementally you can change the ND. It's really beautiful in that sense. The LCD was nice. I remember when I was using it, not the brightest, but it was decent. Like I was working outside in South America on one music video, and it worked great. That's really mainly what we used. But now with the RAW upgrade, which that will cost you money, but once you get the RAW upgrade, you can actually do some pretty incredible things. So let me see here actually if they have it here on B&H listed. So I know you can do 2K 240 frames per second, like continuous. Let's see, do they have it listed here or not? Okay, 4K up to 60 frames per second, and then you can do in 4K 120p with 4-second bursts, but still it's pretty good. And then as you can see, you can do 2K 240 frames per second, and it's continuous. So I mean, it's pretty amazing. None of these other cameras, by the way, can really, you know, do that. And it's all, by the way, at 12-bit 4K RAW. And you can do this with, you know, well, 12-bit RAW, right? You can do this with a bunch of other recorders. But that's the whole thing, is then you're gonna need to get another recorder. It's gonna be about between $1,000 and $2,000. So that adds to it. Plus the update, it's gonna be basically like, I would say $2,500 extra. So suddenly this camera is gonna go up to $7,500, right? So that's something to be aware of. That's the thing. But $7,500, and you're getting these amazing 12-bit RAW, you know, high-speed motion kind of capability. The EVA, it records basically the you know 4K up to, you know, and 2K up to 242, which is pretty spectacular. But it does it all 10-bit 4:2 processing, so it's not like like a RAW recording, and that's something to be aware of. Now another thing is, they claim, well, they're marketing it as a 5.7K sensor. It's not really it's a sensor that's 5.1K, meaning it's getting a 5.7K readout, but you're never able to actually record that resolution. It just downscales it. It's like saying, you know, the Sony A6500 is, you know, a 6K camera. It's not. It can record 4K video, but it just reads it off of a 6K image sensor. So that's something to be aware of, is that maybe the 4K is going to look nicer, sharper, because it's downscaling a higher resolution sensor, but you're not going to be able to record it. It's not like with the Blackmagic Pro, you're actually able to record 4.6K RAW. So that's something to be aware of. So I'm kind of not a fan when camera manufacturers, like in this case, they're just putting everywhere like 5.7K camera. It's not really a 5.7K camera, but anyways. But then that's the whole thing. The cool thing about this camera is you're now going to be at the similar price range as the Sony FS5 with the RAW thing. So think about it. Do you care about the RAW 14-bit, all that stuff? Maybe you don't care about it. But I mean, if you do, then I think the Sony is better. It's got better autofocus, all that stuff. Panasonic doesn't really even look like it's going to have autofocus built into it. So that's one thing to be aware of. And like I said, it's it has a dual native ISO, so that's what I would say maybe one advantage. But otherwise, it doesn't have the true raw recording capability like you can get with the FS5 and all the upgrades, obviously. Now the Canon EOS C200, you see again very similar price range, so $7,500, and this one records raw, but it's called raw light. Supposedly it's good. I would assume it gives you all the raw functionality like changing ISO, white balance and all that stuff after fact. But it cannot do the high speed that the other cameras can do, so that's one thing to be aware of. And also it cannot what's it called, when you're recording in MP4, meaning any other codec other than that RAW, which the RAW is still going to eat up a lot of data. So when you're recording in MP4s, you're not really getting the full 14 or 13 stops of dynamic range. So that's something again to be aware of. Blackmagic Ursa is no really compromise in terms of what format you're recording in. You're always getting the full image sensor. You're getting all those really nice set of features, and you can say it's cheaper, right? The $1,500 cheaper than the other options. The only thing with this camera is, and that's something to be definitely aware of, is it's the weight, the size of the camera. I mean, I've did a test just a few days ago. I'm going to release a video about it actually, about me setting it up now, like the Ursa with the follow focus and monitors, cinema lenses, all that stuff on a gimbal, and oh boy, it was not easy, because I've never actually used the Ursa yet on a job on a gimbal. I've used the Ursa on jobs on stabilizers, but they were actual Steadicams. So yeah, so that's something to be, like I said, to be aware of. So yeah, so all of these cameras, that kind of have advantages and disadvantages, and so if the damn Ursa Mini, if they could actually make another version that's actually mini, like, I mean, where this actually is, like at least half the weight and the size. Maybe the size would be okay, but at least the weight, if they can scale down the weight, yes, then I think I would say that's the best camera, and at the same price range, obviously, then I would say that's the camera to go for, because it kind of hits the most nails, I would say, for me. It doesn't have AF, but for me, I don't really care about AF. Now, if you want the best kind of all-around camera that has good AF, right? Let's say you're doing corporate, or maybe like more like live events or weddings, for example, you're trying to capture, but then you also are in between. Let's say a lot of filmmakers these days do these corporate videos or wedding videos in between to kind of keep themselves, financially basically supported. But then they're in between, they do film projects, and so they want to have a camera that they can use for both for their, the actual business that generates them money, and for doing their passion, film projects. Then I would say, I think the Canon C200, even though, yeah, it doesn't, it doesn't really record in the MP4, which is probably what you'd probably be using for most wedding videos or corporate videos. It doesn't record 14 stops of light. It downgrades that image, I guess, the dynamic range. It's still a beautiful image. I mean, still 12 stops of dynamic range is going to be good. And at the same time, you're getting a camera that can record really light codecs. So if you're recording live events, weddings, all that stuff, you can record for a whole day to a card and not really worry about running out of space. You can back that footage up really quickly, edit it, get it out to the client. But then at the same time, you have RAW capability, and you have really, really amazing autofocus. Like all the tests I've seen so far, and I kind of also assume it because, even though I haven't tried the camera myself, that the Canon C200 has the best, has a pretty amazing autofocus, because it uses the Canon's dual pixel AF. And if you've seen anything, any of the other cameras like Canon C200 or whatever, you'll know that it's probably the best sensor. So yeah, so. Somebody saying, if I were honestly shooting a thing, I'd probably just buy a C100. Well, that's also a valid point. Dual pixel is nice, easy setup, lightweight. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's just for that, for the weddings, I would say that. Yeah, but if you want to be also a filmmaker that can shoot films that are maybe, with hopes of selling it, maybe to Netflix or something, and you want to have higher basically quality, then you really want to also have a camera that's capable of recording RAW. And also recording, like I said, the nicer dynamic range and all that stuff. So I think that's when, and recording in 4K, right, which C100 can't do. So that's why I would still say that it's, yeah, that I would say the thing. Somebody's asking, What does it appear? What camera is he shooting on? Richard Gibson. Let me know if you're asking about me or somebody else. But yeah, so that's C100 Mark II. Does it have the same AF system? I'm not sure, but you know what? Let me check right now. Since I'm here, let's look at the specs. C100. Yep, it has the thing. So C100 Mark II has the dual thing, the dual pixel, you know, AF system. So in case you guys were wondering. Now the only thing, like I said, with that camera for me is that it doesn't have slow motion really, or any significant slow motion. It doesn't have 4K, and so if you're a filmmaker, you kind of want to have those options, right? So somebody's saying there's going to be a new codec in 2018 for Canon C200, so even better. So I would say all around, I think Canon C200, and also here's another thing: is the Canon C200 has the here, if you want to look at it, has the built-in, you know, EVF. Plus it comes with the monitor, right? Which is kind of nice. The Panasonic, by the way, I don't know if you guys heard, but they're not including the EF now. The final release, they said that they're not going to have EF. I guess they're trying to cut down on the cost of the camera. So it's only going to come with the LCD. And sometimes the EVF is really nice because you can, you know, zoom in and you can kind of like in broad sunlight, you can really see exactly what you're getting. So that's definitely something to be, like I said, something to be aware of here. Canon, you know, I mean, the Blackmagic Ursa, yeah, it doesn't have EVF either. You can buy for it, but then again, it's expensive. But it has a nice LCD. I actually love the LCDs on the thing. That's one thing I would say that I also like better on the Ursa Mini 4.6K versus the Pro version, is that one has that LCD and it's even bigger. It's like a nice big LCD, whereas the Blackmagic Design Ursa Mini Pro has the LCD, but it's because they had to accommodate all these extra buttons here on the side. The LCD is just a bit smaller. It's still good. It's nice, bright outside, but it's yeah, it's just a little bit smaller. But I'll tell you now that, like, first of all, because the price drop here and because this has RAW capabilities, I'm still thinking like the Sony, you know, the fact that it can do 14-bit, you know, 240 frames per second continuous, like, those are really nice functions. And it has the EVF built in, and it has the you know, the LCD, but also it, like I said, if you get the whole RAW upgrade and the external recorder, which is probably going to be either the Ninja or the Atomos, the Shogun Inferno from Atomos, or what's the other one? I mean, I always forget the other company's name. Odyssey 7Q, right? 7Q Plus now, whatever the version they have now. You're gonna get one of those, so you're gonna also get a really nice big, you know, display too, along with this camera. Now the only thing then to keep in mind is then suddenly this small camera is not gonna be so small anymore, right? Because it's, you know, because it's suddenly you have this big monitor attached. So definitely want to be aware of that. But yeah, overall I think there's some great options out there. So I would say, like, right now, if you kind of want to get into this and you want to get like a best all-around camera, I think right now, you know, but you don't have the money to spend on everything, and let's say you want to have something that will work in your wedding video or corporate video kind of business, I think the Sony FS5 is a great option because it allows you to buy the camera for, like I said, almost, you know, just over $4,500. But you have the camera, you can already start working with it. Then, you know, you can invest slowly into the RAW upgrade and then the, let's say, the monitor. So you can do that versus, you know, some of the other cameras, you're right away gonna have to spend that big chunk of money. Now, if you do have that big chunk of money and you don't mind waiting, because here's another thing, is the other cameras are still not available. FS5 and the RAW upgrade, all that stuff is all available. You can have it right now, or you know, all the parts, and you can get it working. You know, like B&H, they'll pretty much ship it, you know, to you within 2 days. So, like I said, you can get going and have that whole full package right away. Whereas with the EVA, Panasonic EVA, you're gonna have to wait till October with the Canon C200. I'm not even sure right now when the release date is expected, but that's the whole thing. Is these cameras are not delivering yet, so you know that's something to be aware of. Now, if you're looking again, if you're thinking about the Ursa Mini, I would say the Ursa Mini Pro, version, or the other one, even 4.6K version. They're, like I said, great cameras, but I wouldn't really say they're good for live events or like wedding videos or corporate videos. They're kind of more designed to be like a proper cinema camera, but on a really low budget, right? They're not the Red Epics or something. And that's the reason why I wouldn't include like the, forget about something like Arri, Alexas and all that stuff, but even the Red Epic or Red Raven, they're more still cinema cameras. They don't have proper audio, like really good preamps, all that stuff. They don't have AF, they don't have things like that, right? They don't record in like these really friendly codecs that can be really, you can just pop in an SD card and record onto. So that's the reason why those cameras, and forget about, like I said, the Reds and all that stuff, also because of the price range, right? I think the cheapest one is the Red, was it Raven now, I guess, at $15,000. So that's the things. I think it kind of comes down to between, well, I would say that the Eva looks interesting, but there's still a few things that kind of worry me about it. And when you look at the competition and price, I think this Canon C200 or the Sony FS5 might have a beat. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be, I'm curious, and maybe come October I'll get my hands on the camera and I can do side-by-side comparison, then do another camera shootout of 2017 and compare maybe those cameras together, and kind of they're in the same price range, similar kind of features, see which one of these cameras is better, because they're really, yeah, that's one thing to be thinking. But I would say, like I said, Eva is still very unsure, and there isn't really a lot of test footage available online. Canon C200, on the other hand, has the great AF, the raw footage I saw, the tests look amazing, all that stuff. And Sony FS5, I worked with it, amazing camera. And now with the raw upgrade, that much more amazing. So I think that for me it comes down to between the Sony FS5 and the the Ursa and the Canon C200 for like the best all-around camera. Cinema camera, I would still say the Ursa Mini Pro, but the best all-around camera is those two. Now, if you're asking me like, so right now what should I get? Well, then I would say Sony FS5, because that's the only one out of those two that I would recommend. So just go and get that with the raw upgrade and probably the Atomos Ninja Shogun. That's like a really good monitor, and it's gonna allow you to do the raw upgrade, the raw input basically from the FS5. So that's probably the way to go. So I guess that's my verdict at the end. Let me know if you guys agree. Sony FS5 right now, simply because the C200 is not available, but in, let's say, 2-3 months, when, let's say, they're actually delivering a C200. Maybe C200, I don't know, you can compare it. Let me know which one between these two you guys would go for. Let's see. And let me see now some comments here that you guys are writing. Somebody's saying, stop beating around the bush, Tom. The Ursa Mini is at the top. Stop fighting it, Tom. No, it's a great raw camera, but I mean, I would be lying if I said it's a great all-around camera, because like you're gonna see my videos, putting that thing up on a gimbal is a nightmare. It's not the easiest. I've used it on a Steadicam, but sometimes it'd be nice to be able to just throw it up on like an average size gimbal, and I couldn't do it. So the only thing gimbal I got it really to work with that's still on a budget was the KMTV Prodigy gimbal, and again, to get all the things working wasn't the easiest, and I wish they had really good AF. Like, that's what I love about like my Sony A6500 is it doesn't do RAW, doesn't do all these things, but the camera is so tiny and it has amazing AF. I just throw it up on any of these handheld pistol grip gimbals and I go off shooting. I don't need a wireless follow focus system and then have somebody else operate it. I don't need to have somebody then have a wireless video system so they can see if the shot is in focus and all that. Like, it's just, then you're building all these things up. I just throw the camera up and I can go. And by the way, I was supposed to start shooting this video, but I went out to one cool location. I forgot the basic screw where you attach the camera to the gimbal. I forgot that, and I was like, no, I'm just at the location, and I'm like, I got everything ready, and I'm like, where's the screw? No, I couldn't find it. But I'm shooting this week a video comparing these 3 different pistol style gimbals. So the one from Zunian, one is I forgot now, one is the Moza Air, it's like 3 different companies, I forget now, and I might have the latest one from KMTV, then I might include it in there. If not, then it's just going to be those 3. But those are like the most requested gimbals that people have been asking me about. So I'm gonna do kind of a shootout of these 3 gimbals, talk about best, worst things about them, and I guess see which one works best. But that's the cool thing, is that you can take any of these small little light gimbals, throw a small camera like that on there. You can't do that with the Ursa. So let me see here. Maybe my brother here can tell me if there's any questions here. So how much does it cost by the time? How much does it cost by the time you get the Ursa Mini Pro all set up, including camera, lens, rig, and media? Oh, yeah. I mean, it's by the time you consider, like, I would say you kind of want to spend or put aside minimum another $1,000 for, like, you know, 2 sets of batteries and some media, and you know, you can start recording, right? And then I guess, well, I'm guessing you have some lenses, but if not, even you can get like the nifty 50, you know, the Canon EF lens, and you're golden. You can go. That one's cheap. But ideally, like $2,500. So I would say you kind of want to spend on that camera. Which, by the way, you're gonna have to still spend obviously extra money with the other cameras, like the Panasonic, you know, EVA or Canon C200 or Sony, you know, FS5. It's not like you buy those cameras and then that's it. There's there's nothing else with it. You're gonna want to buy recording media. You're gonna have to buy lenses, obviously. You're gonna have to buy batteries, right? Because all of these come with a battery, at least, not like the Blackmagic Ursa, but they only come with 1 little battery, so it's not gonna last you a whole day. So Gear Jones. Oh, hello guys. How important is RAW for daily work when you have S-Log to work with? For daily work, no, it's not. I would say you don't want to shoot RAW for just like whenever you're shooting corporate videos or things like that. But what I would say, what you want to do is, S-Log and all that stuff, yeah, for V-Log, any log profile is great because it gives you the little bit of dynamic range flexibility. Right? It doesn't give you flexibility that RAW really gives you, with in terms of changing white balance, changing ISO, like things like that, changing even the way you process the image, the sharpness, all that stuff. So that you can really change after the fact with RAW. You can't do that with any log profile. Log profile it basically allows you to capture wider dynamic range in a standard kind of already compressed image. So I would say RAW, what the advantage is it's, like I said, it requires more work because you have to interpret then all those settings, and you have to then kind of convert your RAW image into an actual, compressed image. But what is great for is when you're shooting, film, actual narrative film. It could even be documentaries, but probably not like the real run and gun kind of documentaries, but like film where you have a longer post-production schedule, so you have more time in post-production, and yeah, then you're going to be able to sit around and and really tweak the image and sometimes save the image if you overexpose it or things like that. You can't do that really with S-Log or any other really image profile. David Lane, are you still doing music videos with camera reviews? With camera reviews? What? Still doing music videos with? Oh, okay. Well, I guess yeah. I guess you're asking me if I'm still shooting music videos. I'm shooting some music videos. I'm kind of very selective now. Like really, I only do music videos if I'm really, really interested in the artist or the song itself. And I guess I'll be showing some of these things. So actually, yeah, for the A60-300 review that's coming up, some of the examples I'm going to have are actually going to be from a music video that I shot, so you guys will be able to see that. So actually a really cool music video I shot. The GH5, no, I haven't shot any music videos on that one actually, so can't show you any examples of that. Another one question, what is it? Oh no, a comment from David Lane. Loved the music video with Anna Size in New York City. Oh, thank you, David. We got another question from Trevor. The Sony FS5 RAW is converted to ProRes by the Shogun. Are you losing any quality there? No, you're not really going to lose quality. You're going to lose the RAW functionality if you convert it. But I believe you can record cinema DNG, so you can convert it. But maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe the Shogun, the Shogun Inferno, I'm pretty sure records the cinema DNG. If not, whatever, I'll take that back. I know that again, the other company, what is it? The Odyssey 7Q, whatever it is, the model. They do cinema DNG, or you can record to ProRes. So basically, the difference is this: you're not going to lose the dynamic range, because you're shooting, let's say, to ProRes, and you're shooting the same flat image that you would get with the RAW, right? So you're getting the full dynamic range and all that stuff. Which you're still going to have to then decide at that point when you're recording what white balance you want, what ISO, basically whatever your camera is seeing or the recorder is seeing at that moment, that's what you're going to record. So whereas with the vintage with RAW is what you're seeing is not really what you're recording. So later on when you load that RAW data onto the computer, you can now see various different images, because then you're incorporating, like in the computer, you're kind of doing what the camera, all other cameras do in real time. Like all other cameras capture raw data from an image sensor, like even little point and shoots, Sony a6500, they capture the raw data, but they in real time, because they don't have a way to process all that heavy data, like basically store it. So what they do is they just in real time take that raw data and they compress it to an actual image, like a 8-bit or 10-bit, whatever image, whatever your camera records in. So that's kind of what you're doing on your computer later on with RAW. You're taking that image, the raw data, as if your computer was the actual camera, and you're reading it from the raw image, and then you can go in and change those settings, right? So you can change, like I said, ISO speeds, which is pretty cool. White balance you can change, and it doesn't alter or destroy your image at all. It's the same as if you were changed ISO or white balance in your camera while you're recording. So it's the same thing, but you can do it after the fact. What is the gimbal for GH5? Well, I think one of the point and shoot gimbals will be great, and like I said, I'm testing out the masz right now, the Feiyun Sunyan something crane. I don't know, like these names, some of them are really difficult to pronounce, the Chinese names, but I'm shooting a video, and hopefully this week I'll do kind of a side-by-side comparison so you guys can see it. And I think that's one of those gimbals would be great for that, for those cameras, or for Sony a6500 or any of those small kind of mirrorless cameras. Another question: what is it between GH5 and 1DX Mark II? Besides the price, yeah, the price is a big difference, because the 1DX was like $8,000. Which would be better for narrative films? Which one is comparable to? I would still say GH5. I mean, GH5 doesn't have the bigger image sensor like the 1DX, but you know what? You can put on the speed booster. You still get that as close to super 35mm image sensor, and it's price is not a factor, but I think in the end it is going to be a factor, right? But it's also it's a smaller camera. You can get really good XLR preamps, all that stuff. I would say for that is better. Now, if you care about having the good AF and all that stuff, then yeah, the 1DX is better in that sense. But also, the GH5 records in really nice codecs, more slow motion options, all that stuff. So I would say the GH5 between that. And it's kind of hard for me to say besides the price, because I personally always look at the price. I mean, it makes a difference. But anyways, I think we're gonna end the show. 1 o'clock. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know now. So I guess at the end, leave somebody says Moza Air is awesome. Well, we'll see. I've so far been using it. It's good. I had some problems with the horizon at one point. It was like tilting, so we'll see. Hopefully I can figure it out. I think it prompted me to do a calibration or something, so I'll look at that. Another quick question: what do you think about the setup? Sony FS700 with Atomos, Shogun, Inferno for small shorts. Sony FS700, I guess, yeah. Sony FS700 is still a decent camera. It still can do, the raw output with the raw upgrade, obviously. So I think that's still an option. But I would still say you're not saving that much. So maybe it's maybe it's better to get the Sony FS5. Getting a smaller camera, definitely. That's the only thing I don't like about the Sony FS700 is it's kind of bulky and big and long. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna do the thing next week. Might be next week we're gonna do a live show. I don't know if I'll be able to join it, but my brother's gonna join you, and he's gonna show you actually some cool stuff, which maybe I can kind of quickly browse over it and show you guys here, which is here on my website. And basically what it is it's here. My website, we've been kind of upgrading it, and one of the things is when you go to the gear page, many times people ask me about what cameras I recommend, and been working on this, kind of coming up with a list, and my brother's been working really hard on kind of updating the pages and doing all that stuff. And right now the main one is the cameras page. The other ones are kind of still being worked on. But if you go to the camera page, like overall here we kind of give you little tips about investing in gear. And really, I'll say that again, don't just buy the latest camera because it came out, or because it's not as your camera you have right now doesn't have all the latest specs or the latest cameras. It's just really, at the end of the day, the best camera is the one that you know how to use and the one that you have access to. So but here's like when it comes to cameras, you kind of talk about different cameras and different things and what things to watch out for and how you basically go, I guess how you would best approach it. And then here I kind of list some of my kind of biggest recommendations. So Sony Alpha A6000 for like if you're really on a budget, and I describe kind of why and how. Another good budget option is the Canon EOS 80D. And again, just kind of look more into it and kind of what I described in there, and we provide links to reviews and things like that. So it's going to take you a while to go through it because it has other links within this page. Another one is the Lumix G85, you know, or whatever it's called in other countries. G7 is also good, actually. The Sony A6000 versus Canon ADD thing. So my brother kind of did a little sum up in this cheap category, which one's thing. Next one is like the slightly more expensive cameras is the Sony Alpha, you know, A65000. So that's one thing. Panasonic Lumix GH5. That's another camera that's again in a similar category. Blackmagic Ursa Mini 4.6K and Pro cameras. Basically the 6K and Pro, very similar. And then in here I'm going to be adding, like I said, probably one of the other cameras, whether it's the, you know, the EVA or the Canon C200 or maybe the Sony FS5 with the RAW upgrade. I'm going to kind of, once I have a chance to compare all three of these, I might add it. But from my own sort of experience, these are the kind of cameras I recommend and why, and I kind of talk about it. So because, for example, it might also be like, let's say if you're a wedding corporate, you know, filmmaker that also does films on the side, it might even be more beneficial to maybe have two cameras for you. Buy the, let's say then the best cinema camera, I would say on a budget, the Ursa Mini Pro. Buy that, and then for, you know, $1,000 you can buy a, you know, a 6300 or 6500. That's an amazing camera. That has a good, you know, autofocus, and you can use then for wedding videos, corporate videos, all that stuff. But then you at least have two cameras, and even if you're sometimes, let's say you're doing a wedding video or something and you need another camera, there's just another coverage from another angle that's static, then let's say you can still use your Ursa set up on those sticks. You know, it doesn't have autofocus, but in that case you don't care about autofocus. You just set up on sticks, pointed, you know, let's say a wide angle, and there you're recording another angle. So sometimes it might be better to buy two cheaper cameras as opposed to buying the one with the latest cameras these days. So again, that's another way of looking at it. But anyways, that's like at the page there. You guys can look at it. My brother, I think, will delve more into it next week, kind of take you guys step by step, because next week it looks like I'll be away, a family event, which happens to be on a Sunday. So yeah, so because of that I might not be able to do the show, but we are going to be showing more film submissions, that's for sure. So, you know, if you guys have films, videos, whatever you've worked on, or things that you maybe are work in progress but you really want our opinion, submit that to us. Also, we are going to be doing more giveaways. I know people have been asking. We kind of send out the giveaways we gave out over the last 2 episodes, which one of the sliders we actually didn't give away because the person that won decided not to pay for the shipping because they said it was just too expensive, because it was I believe Iceland. So we still have one of the Foci sliders, plus I have a gimbal to give away. I do have one, I'm not going to say which one right now, and some other stuff. So there's going to be a lot of stuff, but we're thinking of doing it with my brother, because otherwise it's like a full-time job, like doing these giveaways, and whether it's for him or me, or, you know, getting somebody here to like assist with this, and, you know, arranging for the shipping and going and actually getting this packed properly and getting it dropped off to getting shipped. It takes too much time, and like with all the work I have already, it's not something that we want to be doing. So we kind of decided we're gonna do giveaways, but only like ever so on we'll do like a bigger giveaway. We're gonna have more prizes, more things to give away. So just stay tuned for watching the show, and you know, you might not know, it's not gonna be next week, but maybe it'll be 2 weeks from now we'll do the next giveaway. So yeah, just stay tuned otherwise. Anyways, it's getting extra loud here, and it's already past 1, so I'm gonna sign off, finish, guys, and that's it. Hope, you know, I had fun today, so hopefully you guys did have fun too. And let me know, remember, in the comments below. Right now I'm kind of debating what's the best all-around camera: Sony FS5 with all the upgrades and, let's say, Atomos Ninja or Shogun Inferno, or the Canon C200. Which one? Or maybe the EVA, I don't know. Let me know between these three cameras, what's the best all-around that you would say. Anyways, bye for now.